So, liebe Leute, herzlich willkommen hier aus Unterföhring, der Heimat von meinem Bowling-Shop. Und heute haben wir wieder einen Gast in unserem Emax Talk. Diesmal haben wir zu Gast den 13-fachen PBA-Champion, zweifacher PBA Major-Titel-Champion, EJ Tackett. Hi EJ, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. So actually the weird situation with Corona, now the riots in the States also coming, tough times at the moment for the world. So where are you at the moment? What do you do? What did you do last month? How does it all work out?
I'm currently at home. I've spent probably the most time I've spent at home in a row in quite a few years. We'd have to go back a few years when we didn't have as much to bowl in the summer as we do now. So it's been kind of nice in that regard. I've been able to, take care of my grass a little bit better, mow it every day or every other day or whatever. And we've done some projects around the house, put some new flooring in, redid a bath, made an office. So Natalie and I have gotten a lot of stuff done around the house, but definitely looking forward to getting back on the lanes. I was actually able to go to St. Louis this past weekend and bowl a few events they had out there, and got to see a bunch of people that I hadn't seen in a couple of months since this whole stuff started happening. And so that it was fun to just see everybody and get back on the lanes and compete.
Yeah, it's I'm also thinking it's really tough when you are inside bowling like we are as a player, as pro shop guys, as lane owners. You have so many how to say friends in bowling that you can't see, and you start missing them actually when you cannot meet them. It's nobody could imagine this situation before. It's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. We know that the coronavirus, started back, I think, in late 2019, November, December, when it actually started. But I don't think anyone predicted it was going to do the things that it did and cause the havoc worldwide that it did, and have everything shut down. Businesses, governments, just everyday life was shut down. And it's going to be nice at some point to, things have started opening back up, and just to have a sense of normalcy again is good.
Do you see as a player as a professional player, any changes after that in the professional bowling?
I'm not sure. I think as far as players go, maybe not. It might be players maybe that are a little bit older or that have had health issues in the past that may be more susceptible to contracting the virus and actually causing a lot of harm to them, where someone like myself that's healthy, it's just going to cause like cold-like symptoms, and I'll be perfectly okay in a few days. But I think the biggest change we'll see, at least in the immediate future, is going to be just the amount of fans that are allowed, the social distancing that they're going to have to partake in while they're in the bowling center. So I think the biggest change is going to be actually for the fans rather than the players.
But it's like a open secret. If you're not a top 10 guy, top 20 guy on the PBA tour, it's pretty hard to survive. You are one of the best in the world, so you're actually easy in the top 10. But do you think it changes the not so top players?
I think going through this event obviously hurt those guys a lot more than, like you said, the top 10 or 20 guys that have been established on tour and have made quite a bit of money and was able to save some and have that reserve where other guys don't. But I don't know how it's going to change for them in the future. I mean, I hope it doesn't. I hope they can still come out and compete and bowl and follow their dreams. I hope that's plausible, and I really hope that everyone can do that. But I don't really know what the future holds for anyone.
Yeah, nobody knows. We all see. We're all working. Do you see? Actually, you started on the PBA Tour 2012. Fox was shortly after, right? The Fox change was
The
2014 or
Fox
something.
change came at the end of 2018.
Oh, is it that? Okay, it's only 2 years ago, man.
Yeah. We had the first PBA Clash that they did at the Kegel Training Center in the December of 2018 was the first event on Fox.
Okay.
On Fox ever since. So
yeah, it's so long. Actually, I was surprised that I thought you are longer on a professional than 2012 when I read it. Because I thought I remember 2009 I played the World Series, and 2011 and 12 that you were already in this, but I wasn't. I was wrong.
yeah, my first World Series actually wasn't until 2013, because I came a member in October of 2012, but I didn't have the funds to get to the World Series that year, so I had to earn enough money to be able to bowl the World Series the next year.
What was your job before bowling?
I didn't have one.
Okay.
I was 20 when I first started on tour. I helped my parents at our bowling center, and I worked at a golf course in the summers. So that's what funded me to be able to bowl at all.
And now dreams come true. You're one of the best in the world. Many people say you are actually the best one-handed player in the world. Isn't it tough for you also to have a guy like Jason inside your era?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's arguably one of the greatest ever, and he may end up being the greatest ever. We don't know, but you know, it is what it is. He's there, and I know I have to beat him every single week, and I know that when I do win a tournament, I know I beat the best players in the world, whether it's Jason or anyone else on tour. You know, you really have to perform and compete, no matter who it is, to win.
It makes you better, and it makes Jason better, and competition is the best that can happen.
Absolutely.
Actually, we talked about you on last Sunday with Chuck. He was talking about tour rapping and how it is, and how most techniques, and he said something. He wasn't like pushing or something. He just say it will be interesting to see how different techniques will turn over when you're getting senior or something with your body. And he said something that was just a side sentence, that you put your body on the lines a lot. So how do you prepare your body for your very powerful approach and everything?
I mean, I think some of the most important things in bowling is, you know, leg strength, core strength, but I think the most important thing is flexibility. I think the more flexible that you can stay and keep everything mobile, the better off you're going to be. I think being a golfer, I think has helped with everything that I do, because my core strength has been good just because of playing golf, because you're using so much of it all the time. And a lot of those things are implemented back and forth for me in between the two sports. So I do a lot of the same things. But I'm using, you are using different muscle groups when you're playing the two sports. So I think that's important as well, to use all your muscles, not just your bowling muscles, to keep all of your muscles strong and limber and stay flexible. And I think that's what's going to create longevity in guys' careers. I don't know if that's going to help me along or hurt me, but it works for me, and I'm just going to keep doing what works for me.
Did you change your style a lot over the last years since you come pro?
No, I've never changed anything ever since I even started. My dad's been my coach my entire life, and he when I was very young, he taught me the fundamentals of bowling, you know, the basics, and said, go figure it out and go do it your way. And that's kind of how I've gone throughout my life. And as I got bigger and stronger and older, my dad just kept, you know, kind of refining what I was doing. He never changed it. He just made it a little bit better, and kind of helped me see what I needed to do to get better. And you know, I'm very, very thankful for my dad and the way that he coaches, allowed me to be the best version of myself without trying to force anything to happen. And I think that's why I didn't bowl a lot over these past couple of months, where I can go from not bowling and go bowl an event and still feel like I can just pick up right where I left off, because my feel has been so good, and everything that I've done over my life has just been so natural and nothing's been forced, that I can kind of take a little bit of time off and feel like I can just pick it right back up where I was in a short amount of time.
That's often a problem for players who train a lot and just train techniques. So Frank just asked, what are your tips to increase rev rate?
I think one of the things that's very underutilized in bowling is using your legs to create power. So you can use your legs to create speed, and if you can use your legs to create speed, then it's easier for you to use other parts of your body to create the leverage that you need to create more rev rate. And another way to do that is working the inside part of the ball. You'll see a lot of players, so they'll work like the outside part of the ball from here instead of having their hand on the inside part. Because if you try to pick up, let's say, like a chair, is it easier to pick it up this way or this way? You create more leverage this way. So it's the same thing in bowling. So you have to make sure your hand is underneath the ball and creating as much leverage as possible, but also using your legs to create the effortless power instead of using your shoulder to do it.
A lot of players came in when I tell them, as in a pro shop, you have to go inside the ball to get more leverage. Yeah, then I need a wrist support. So I'm the guy. I said, maybe not, because it's not that good, because actually you lose leverage with the wrist support. So what would you tell these people?
I would say only use a wrist support as a very last resort. You know, if you physically can't keep your wrist like in a straight or cupped position, if it's always breaking here and you can't learn how to do it I would only say to use it as a last resort, because I think you lose a lot of mobility, and you lose a lot of ability to be able to manipulate the bowling ball with different hand positions. So like I said, it's just a last resort for me to tell somebody to use one.
Yep. Now we have some question in between. It's not really the topic at the moment, but how do you see openings in bowling centers in the US? Are they going to open? Is it country-wide open, or is it statewide, or are they still closed, some centers?
It's right now. It's all state by state cases, and even sometimes it's city by city. Obviously, bigger cities might have a little bit more restriction because they were impacted a little bit harder by the COVID-19. Smaller towns might be opening up sooner than bigger cities. So it's really not a one size fits all right now. It's definitely a state by state and city by city, area by area basis on who can open at what capacity. Our bowling center, my parents' bowling center, we're allowed to open on June the 14th. So I know some bowling centers in Indiana probably might have opened already. I know some, especially down south in Georgia and stuff like that, have already opened and have actually been open for quite some time, like nearly a month.
Okay.
So, it's like I said, it's not a one size fits all. It's definitely a case by case basis.
So Ollie just says EJ has a beard.
Yeah, a little bit of scruff growing out.
Yeah, a little bit lazy.
Yeah.
I noticed. I just shaved the head. So I just created has a question. EJ had a rough start in his first TV finals, and that has certainly changed. Were his struggles caused from the mental game or the influence of the TV environment on the lane conditions?
I would say that just learning how to bowl on TV, it's so different than the qualifying that we do throughout the week. You have all the lights, you have stands down the side. The visual part of it is way different. Your heart rate gets up. So for me, it was getting used to that environment and learning myself, learning what my body did to the bowling ball, what it did to my approach, what it did to my swing. So it was just, for me, it was a long learning curve of just figuring all those little things out and getting them all to work together in the same way that they did during the qualifying leading up to it. So I don't think it was a mental thing. I think it was definitely just learning. Some guys have it instantly when they come out. They just got it. They got it. I wasn't fortunate enough to have that. I had to learn. It took me a couple of years. It took me quite a few shows to figure out how to bowl. It was probably 2015 World Championships. I found a little bit of something there of what my body was doing to the bowling ball and how it was changing the reaction of my bowling balls on the lanes. So then I make the show at the Tournament of Champions a couple of months later, and I lost the match, but I bowled 220, and it was probably to that point the best game I had bowled on TV. And I told my dad after that show, I said, the next time I'm on TV, I'm going to win. Fast forward 6 months later, I made the show in Detroit at the summer or fall swing, and I won. Yep. So, and ever since, I do think mentally winning that event really helped me catapult my career. Yep. But it was the physical part of things that I really had to figure out and learn how to bowl on TV.
When Richard Tees was on the show here, he said when he was on TV, anybody was just saying to him, just focus on one thing. Not this and that, just focus on one thing and then go through it and do this.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best pieces of advice you can get to bowl on TV for your first time is that, just focus on one thing.
Yeah. So Mafe asked, how big is your arsenal normally and on the PBA and when you travel?
I always have a lot of bowling balls with me. I typically drive everywhere, so I have 30, 40 bowling balls with me at almost all times. Because I don't want to go somewhere and like, obviously I can drill new bowling balls anytime I want, but as everyone knows that has drilled multiples of the same bowling ball, they're all very close, but they're not all exactly the same as the one before. So you might find one that you drilled it absolutely perfectly for that particular bowling ball, and it just rolls just a little bit better than all the rest of them. Well, I want to keep that one around, and I don't want to go somewhere and not have it. So that's why I like to drive everywhere and be able to take all those different options, all those bowling balls, because at any given time you're going to say, man, I wish I had that ball and it's sitting in my garage at home. So I don't ever want to have that.
So, but when you go to Sweden, you told me before you were at the Lucky Larsen. How many balls you took?
I think I brought 9. Natalie was with me, so we were able to get a couple extra bags. But typically, if I'm traveling by myself, I normally bring 6 balls overseas, whether it's Lucky Larsen or going to South Korea, Japan, all those places. It's typically 6 balls. So I figure out what the pattern is before, and I'll have my dad put it in the lane machine and run a couple lanes, and I'll practice on the pattern a little bit and try to narrow down the 6 best balls that I think is going to work for me at that particular tournament in that bowling center, and then that's what I take.
So this brings me to Motiv. So actually, you pretty from the beginning of Motiv in the team, right? Actually,
yeah. I signed with Motiv about 2 weeks after I got my PBA card. So, literally, my entire career on the PBA tour has been with Motiv.
And they are also, you're one of the first signed PBA players, I think. I don't know when they got I think
they started in 2009.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they were on tour that year, but I know they were on in 2010, and they had, I think one of their first signs was Scott Norton, actually, for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Richie Allen's been on staff for longer than I have. And there was a couple other guys that were on staff before me left and actually came back. So it's been nice to grow with the company, and that's been really cool. So I'm very, very thankful for the Wilbers and everything that they do for all the players, not just myself.
Yeah. Actually, we have in Germany with Pascal now, Winternheimer, and Tobias Birding, two guys in the team of Motiv. So if you could choose, what are your 5 favorite Motiv balls that you throw?
5. Okay. Well, Venom Shock,
since you started.
Venom Shock, Jackal Ghost. And so normally I get asked 3, and the third one's always a hard one. Because it's hard to narrow down, because the Venom Shock and Jackal Ghost have been so good for me over my career. The Forge Fire has been really good. The new Supra is I've been using it quite a bit the last couple of months, or the last couple of months we were bowling.
This is more for the higher ref players, right? Supra for less oil and higher ref players.
Yeah, but it still does have a pretty large core in it as well. So it's not a small chord bowling ball. So it's still, I think, would be good for people that are in the medium range. I think it'd still be really good for them as well. And then I'd have to say probably maybe like a Tank Blitz. That ball it's so unique. I don't use it a lot. I'm not the person that, even though our urethane balls aren't urethane, I'm not a go-to urethane ball type of player. I try to do it different ways that I think work better for me. But the Tank Blitz is a very special bowling ball, and when it does match up, when it's the right, I mean, it strikes a lot in a lot of different ways. So it's good to have in the bag for sure.
So actually, and they bring in the Desert Tank, right? That's the new one.
Yep.
So actually, we talked about this with Richie T's and Ray T's. So the tanks actually have all four different, right? I don't know how many, but all have different cores, right?
The new microcell polymer ones, yes, they all have different cores in them. The covert tank had, I think it was the old Forza core that was in that ball.
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
And then the Blitz is the gear core out of the Venom Shock. And then the Desert Tank is the same core that's in the Thrills, the entry-level core.
Yep.
So it's good to have a wide range. You have a big, medium, and small core. So I definitely use them, as needed. But like the World Series when we bowled on Cheetah, I actually started with the Desert Tank, and as soon as when a little bit of oil got down lane where that core just wasn't able to overcome that oil down lane, I just switched to a Tank Blitz, and it was perfect.
Okay. Are you in one of the finals that are in the World Series?
Well, I actually made the cut in all the events, but we still have to do all the match play yet. So, but I am in all 3 match plays for that event. Okay.
So Sandro asked, what do you think about Tobias Birding, probably the best bowler in Germany over the last 5 years? How's your relationship to each other as part of Team Motiv?
I really don't know Tobias that well. He's as far as I know, I think Tobias is a really good person. I haven't seen anything or heard anything that would make me think otherwise. It's just he's not a person that I really hang out with when I'm on tour. So I just don't know him that well.
Then, are you involved in the making of new balls and course in the I forget the English word, in the process
like
to
ball testing. Yeah. I do some tests. Brett Spangler does all the testing, or majority of the testing for new bowling balls, and he lives about an hour away, so he actually comes to my parents' bowling center, and you know, I watch him. We talk about what he's doing. So even though I'm not maybe actually throwing the bowling balls, a lot of the times I'm watching Brett throw them and giving him my feedback of what I see about the bowling balls he's throwing. And then he has his own opinion about what he is seeing and feeling out of the bowling balls. So we work together a lot on development of new bowling balls.
It's Brett Spangler, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is his position at Motiv?
Well, he's the head tour rep.
Ah, okay, like Chuck at Brunswick or Timmy at.
Yep.
Okay, I understand.
Yep. And then he also like processes all the orders for all the staffers on tour and even not on tour, just people on staff. Though, if they order a ball or bags, shirts, you know, whatever it may be, Brett processes all those orders. And so he's a tour rep, he's the order processor, he's a ball tester. He wears a lot of hats.
So he's the guy to go to.
Yes, he's a very good starting point. If you're trying to get in with Motiv, Brett Spangler is where you need to start.
Yeah. So Sabrina asks, what tip do you have for mental game to train, to practice it more? Just is your tip for, or actually I started different. Do you work with somebody on your mental game, or is it just having the experience and learn out of the experience?
I've always just worked with my dad. My dad is always just taught me to really believe in myself. And you know, I watched Tiger Woods growing up, and I just watched the way that, you know, he thought his way around golf courses, and just the mentality of, I don't want to beat you by 4, I want to beat you by 12. I kind of had that same thing. I don't want to just barely beat you. I want to make you cry on the way home. That's just the way that I have come into bowling. That's just the way I look at it. When I show up to an event, I'm not there to finish second. I don't show up thinking I just want to cash. I show up thinking that I can win this event. And there's just a saying that those who think they can and those who think they cannot are both usually right.
Yep.
So that's kind of one of the things that I kind of live by. You know, you just got to believe in yourself, and you can't let the negative stuff just get you down. You have to you just have to have a short memory. You have to let it go and move on to the task at hand, because the longer you dwell on what happened that you can't change, the more it's going to affect the future and what you can change, what you have control over.
What are your Sabrina? I hope this helps. What are your goals in 2020, 2021?
Well, 2020 is just a bowl again.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, I want to win, and that the goal never changes for me. I want to win as much as possible and win Player of the Year every single year. I got a taste of it one time, and I'm eager to add another one of those Player of the Year trophies to my trophy case. It's never going to be an easy task. There's so many good players. Jason's very dominant all the time. Simo's very dominant all the time. Chris Prather has shown over the last year and a half that he has the ability to put a whole season together and win a Player of the Year award. So there's several people that you're going to have to beat week in and week out to have a chance to win a Player of the Year.
Do you see? This brings me actually to Brett and Kyle. Do you see what they do is good, and how do you see it? What they do?
I think it's awesome. I think it's great that they're able to get all those people to follow along, and hopefully a lot of those people aren't bowlers, and are getting, hopefully they're getting exposed to people outside of our industry. And I think the more that we can do that as an industry as a whole, to get eyes on us from outside of just the bowling community, the sky's the limit if we can achieve that. As far as a TV time that the tour guys get, the amount of money bowling centers are going to make because more people are bowling. You know, there's a lot of positives to be able to reach a broader spectrum of people.
Do you see? I don't know if you played the World Bowling event in was it Kuwait or Dubai when they're making the new scoring system. Did you ever play it with the scoring?
The World Bowling Tour scoring system?
Yeah.
I did it once because I qualified last year for the World Bowling Finals that they do on TV, and I actually won that. I think it's okay. I think the only downside to it is it takes away a little bit of emphasis on spare shooting. I think in traditional scoring, spare shooting is a little bit more important than it is in the World Bowling scoring system. But you know, it is what it is. It's something different for sure. I don't hate it or love it. I have positives and negatives to say about it, but I have positives and negatives to say about traditional bowling scoring as well. So to me, they're kind of in the same place.
This brings me to another new thing. So two-handed bowling, have you ever tried?
I mean, I can do it. I just am one of the few people in the world, when I bowl two-handed, my rev rate goes down. So, I mean, I can do it.
Marshall said the same thing.
Marshall can actually bowl pretty well two-handed, though. There was actually an event, I think it was in Germany, could have been.
In Munich, Euro Challenge?
Yeah.
When he hurt his thumb?
He hurt his thumb and bowled two-handed and made the cut.
Yeah.
So, Marshall's just a naturally gifted athlete, and he can kind of do a little bit of everything. And the two-handed thing doesn't stop him. But I mean, like I said, I can bowl two-handed, but I'm definitely nowhere near as good as I am one-handed.
Yeah. What is your thoughts on this playing style?
I mean, I don't have any. I don't really care. People, you know, some people get up in arms and get upset about two-handed. They think it's cheating and this, that, and the other. I'm just like, can they bowl or not? You know, because I don't care if you're bowling with one hand, two hands, or no hands. If you can average 240, you can average 240. It doesn't matter how; it's how many. So, I think honestly, I think it's one of the things that's kind of helped me along. Because there's so many guys that are really good that are two-handed players, and I feel like if I had been, you know, upset by it or had a strong opinion about it, I think it would have been detrimental to my career, just because they're going to be there whether I like it or not. So why fight about it?
Yeah, they will not change it.
I'm just going to go bowl, and I'm going to do my thing and just try to win tournaments.
Yep. There it is. What did you do after bad shot? How you bring your mindset into it? Do you have any tricks for this for the next shot? Just forgot, or?
Well, I think the best thing to do is, you know, when you throw a bad shot, is to really focus on the spare that's left. So you have to immediately like kind of turn it off and forget about it. Focus on the spare. We're all guilty of not doing that at some point. You know, we all slip up, and then you miss the spare, which makes you even more mad. But focus on the spare, and then after the frame is over, you kind of come back and you think about, like, okay, what did I do wrong? Like, why did that happen? You know, take 30 seconds and think about it, think through it, learn from it, and apply what you learned to the next shot. Get up, grab your ball. I mean, one thing I always do when I get really frustrated, and even on TV, just because you know, blood pressure goes up, heart rate goes up. It's just take a deep breath and kind of like just calm yourself back down, get back in the moment, and keep moving forward.
Okay. So Robin asked, how do you start bowling? How does it come? And how old were you when you started?
I was, when I could walk is when I started bowling. So, you know, a year or 2 years old is when I started bowling. My dad bowled a little bit on tour back in the late 80s. He never had any success doing it. He bowled quite a bit on the regional tour around in this area, and he cashed several times, made some match plays, but he's the one that really got me into the bowling. And then when I was 5, my parents got into a bowling center, and so I've basically lived inside a bowling center since I was about 5 years old. And you know, I just took advantage of the opportunity that I had in front of me, and I bowled and bowled and bowled and bowled every single day, basically between September and April. Here in Indiana, you know, the winters get kind of bad sometimes, and it gets cold, and I can't go outside and play golf, so I stay inside and bowl. And just all of that practice that I did at a very young age, I think, really helped me now as a professional, and as you know, I'm getting in my late 20s. You know, you look back on that, like if I hadn't have just bowled every single day, would I be in the same place that I am now? You know, and that's, you don't know, but I'm very glad that I decided that I was going to bowl and bowl and bowl every single day.
When did you know to get pro?
When I figured out that I couldn't make it professional golf, because that's actually what I wanted to do. I went to college to play golf. I never bowled in college, and I went to college for 3 semesters, and I hated school. Was not for me, and I played with a lot of good players that have won several times on the PGA Tour now. Played against a lot of those guys, and they were at a different level, and it was something that I wasn't there, and I decided I was going to quit school, and I had to do something. It wasn't going to be, at that point, it wasn't going to be golf, because I didn't believe that I was good enough. So I decided, well, I'll go bowl. I think I can win. I think I can compete against those guys. So I did, and now I'm here.
Yes. And a lot of people watching and joining in your videos that you do, or that the PBA put on YouTube. A lot of people are fascinating from your style, because you're not that big. You're not that, I think you're like 10 centimeters smaller than, I don't know how much, how big, how high you are. What is the word in English? I don't know. But it's, you are not a physical monster.
No. No. And yeah, I don't know what I am in centimeters, but I'm like 5'8" ish, and about 145 pounds. So I'm not sure how much that is in kilos, but
145 is about 70 kilos. That's
not very much.
No. Actually, this brings me to, we had a lot. Tall was the word. Yeah, Michael just wrote it in. Oh no, this brings me to Jacob Butroff. What did you think when you saw him the first time?
When I saw him the first time, I was like, how does he not break his wrist like every shot? Like I didn't understand like how that was even possible. Knowing him now, he's double jointed in his wrist, so that allows him to, you know, create the weird stuff that he does. But you know, he can bowl. And again, we go back to it's not how, it's how many. You know, it's he gets it done. It's not pretty, it's not fun to watch, but he gets it done.
Yeah, but when you see Walter Ray, who wins the most titles, it's not pretty.
Yep,
but he's really good.
Gets it done.
Frank asks, are you planning to playing the Brunswick Euro Challenge in Germany soon?
Maybe. I don't know. I know I haven't bowled it yet. I know I want to at some point. I'm sure I will sometime. I don't know when, but I'm sure I will.
And Michael asked, how many days are you on the road yearly?
Typically over the last couple of years since Fox has come on, and even the year prior to that, I'd say probably somewhere between 175 and 200 days I'm on the road. So the majority of the year. It makes you wonder why I have a house.
Well, you have a wife.
Yeah,
so
but she travels with me most of the time too. So
she travels with you?
Yeah, she actually works. She helps with the flow bowling.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, so she gets to travel as well, and so it's nice that we don't have to be apart all of those days out of the year. She doesn't travel every single time, but you know, we don't have to spend months and months and months apart. You know, it might be a week here or a week there, but it's definitely better than, you know, 200 days apart.
So what is your practice schedule during regular season and off season?
So during the regular season, I'll go and practice more than like the practice session. Like if I miss the cut. So in Dallas this year, to start the year, I missed the cut. So I went to Oklahoma and practiced a little bit, and I missed the cut in Oklahoma. And so I went and I practiced again, but I felt, you know, every week I was bowling a little bit better. And it proved, if you go back and look throughout the year that I had, every single week, I finished a little bit better for the most part. You know, I was bowling better every week. But, you know, when I'm making, like if I make a show or something like that, you know, I'm not practicing any more than just like the practice session that we have for the event, because there's basically no time to practice. If I don't make a show, I'll typically take those days off just to let my body rest, and then come in and put work back in the practice session. So, you know, when we're on tour, I don't really practice extra, just because we are bowling so much. I don't really get out of sync or out of time. You know, I feel pretty good about my game most of the time. In the off season, I'm not a practice every day guy. I'll bowl a little bit here and there. But when the season gets ready to start back up, you know, a month before, a couple weeks before, I'm in the bowling center a lot practicing, preparing. So I do that to try to not burn myself out, because we do bowl so much and we're on the road so much. I don't want to, you know, just keep going to the bowling center every single day and you kind of burn yourself out. So everyone's different. That's just the approach that I take to it. So that way, every season we start, I feel fresh.
Okay. I've actually, the experience is that the pros that are on tour are not practicing that much. They are practicing very smart and not so time intense.
Right.
They're more
you
40
have to
minutes.
Practice with a purpose. You come in, have a game plan. This is what I want to accomplish. And you know, an hour is perfectly okay. When you start getting into 2-3 hours, you're fatiguing yourself, and it could cause bad habits, in my opinion. So I think coming in and just doing work and sticking to the plan that you have, I think, in my opinion, is the best form of practice.
So this brings me, we have 10 questions that we ask every guest. So it's just short ones. What is your favorite food?
Steak.
What is your favorite beverage?
Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I love Dr. Pepper. What is your biggest win?
Biggest win be the 2016 World Championships.
Your biggest fail?
Probably the 2015 World Championships.
If you had $1 billion, what would you do?
I'd probably play golf every single day.
Your idol in the youth?
Tiger Woods and my dad.
Your idol now?
My dad and Tiger Woods.
Your biggest supporter?
My dad.
Your best buddy on tour?
Ronnie Russell.
Your favorite sport beside bowling? Actually, it's golf, right?
Yep. Other than that, I don't know. Maybe cornhole or darts. Okay. I do enjoy playing darts too.
Okay. It's pretty big in England.
Mm-hmm.
Is it big in the States?
No, not really. That I know of. I know there's some leagues and stuff, but it's definitely not like it is in Europe. I'm not very good, but I enjoy playing.
And the last one, what would you do different if you could start your bowling career again?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know of anything that I would do different, because everything that I've done has made me learn and has made me better, even if it was bad early on. So I don't know if I'd do anything differently. I think I would do everything the same.
What is your handicap in golf? Question from Michael.
I'm +2, so I'm on the other side of 0.
But that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Michael asks, what is your opinion concerning the PBA League? You like team matches?
Yeah, I think the PBA League is awesome. It's so much fun. Ended up in Portland, Maine, doing that stuff up there. Everybody is nuts about bowling. Everybody up there likes to drink a lot and have a great time. And I hope that the PBA League can expand and we end up traveling to different cities and maybe even end up traveling all over the world doing this, because it is unlike anything that most of the world has ever seen. The guys in Europe have seen, I think, something similar with the Swedish league.
Yeah, Sweden.
So I think that's probably the closest thing in the rest of the world to what we have. But I hope that we can start traveling to different cities. I think that would really, really be cool, and would really help the PBA League grow in a positive manner.
Yep. Do you think it will get something like the NBA or like something like this?
I don't know if it could get that big, just because of the amount of people that we have bowling. I don't think there's enough people to make it that large. But we have 10 teams now. That's 10 cities that we can already go to. Mm-hmm. I could see maybe 2 more. I feel like maybe 12 would be a really good number. Maybe even 16. And if the tour really blew up and got a lot more players bowling on tour. But I really do think 10 is good for right now, and I think shortly in the future, in the next year or two, we'll probably expand to 12. And I think that'd be a good number. Like I said, maybe 16, and then we have 12, 16 cities that we can travel to, and hold different matches. Playing, one team comes into the other home team's their home city and be able to bowl and give that particular city something to root for. They have a team now that they can root for in professional bowling. And I think that would really, really be cool and really get people engaged and into the tour.
Do you think something like the World Tour can get something like the PBA Tour?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Because I'm not sure if all the same players would participate in the World Bowling one. I'm not saying that there's not good players out there that don't bowl on tour. I know there is. I know there's a lot of good players, especially in Europe, that bowl that they just decide not to bowl on tour. I don't know. Maybe it could be possible. I'm not going to say that it's not, but no, I don't know.
So then Michael asks, who's your favorite double partner?
Oh, Marshall Kent.
Yeah. And then Maffei asks, and mixed.
Liz Johnson.
Okay, that's a good one.
Except for the time that I bowl with my wife.
Sandro asks, who do you think is the best bowler from Asia?
I have to go with Shota Kawazoe.
Okay.
He's I mean, he's won so many times in Japan, and he's come over. He's made a show on tour, and I guess if we went maybe in mainland Asia, it might be Michael Mack from Hong Kong. He's also very good. Those two guys are probably my top two guys from Asia.
Yeah, I see the Koreans are very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Bookam Choi, or I think Bookam Choi was his name.
Mm.
Yeah. So, actually, any more questions from the viewers? We will wait for 1 or 2 minutes, and actually, we are pretty much done. What do you expect from the Motiv balls that are coming out? There's, I think, 2 or 3 announced already.
Yeah, we have the obviously the Desert Tank is coming out soon. There's a new thrill, new colors for the thrill, and a new spare ball. So the thrill and the spare ball. I mean, obviously the spare ball is a spare ball. The thrill is probably not something I'm going to use much on tour, just because the core is so small, and the oil is so thick that we bowl on tour. The ball just wants to sit right on top of the oil. It doesn't dig in very well on what we bowl on. Now on house patterns, it's fantastic. Like I use those types of balls all the time at home in league, so they work great at home, especially in bowling centers that are super high friction, lanes that have been down for a long time. Those types of bowling balls work really well. Yeah, the only time I would use something like that maybe like in Detroit when we bowl under bowl, because the lanes there have been down for so long and they hook a lot. So it's just not something I would use very often. But I'm not sure what's to come after that. I'm sure I've known of what bowling balls are coming. I just forget. But I think the lineup that we have coming up over the next year is going to be really good, and definitely something for people to watch out for over the releases over the next year.
Now I know what I forgot. So actually, you are also with Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of products do you use from Genesis, and what are your benefits out of this?
The only thing that I use from Genesis is the tape. The K-Motion? Yeah, the K-Motion tape. I just use it. I put a piece on the back here, and then I take a half a piece and wrap it around. I leave the top open. And basically all I'm trying to do is just prevent injuries from happening. I don't have any wrist problems yet. I'm just trying to make this thing last as long as possible. Like we talked earlier, I put a lot of torque on my body, and I put it through its paces. So I'm trying to do everything that I can to make it last as long as possible. And
do you use finger insets?
I do.
Just the regular oval ones?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I can't use the lifts side because I feel like I get too much pressure in my creases, where the ovals give me that nice feel on the pad of my fingers. I've tried to use the lifts, and they just don't feel right to me, so I just stick with the ovals.
And do you use interchangeable thumbs? Or?
Yeah, I'm with Turbo, so I use their interchangeable thumb. So
the switch grip system.
Yep.
Do you have problems with sometimes it doesn't matter what system. When you put something in, it can go out.
Yeah.
Did you ever had issues with it?
No. The only time I had one instance where the outer sleeve, not the thumb itself, the outer sleeve came out of the ball, but it was a fresh ball off the truck, and I don't know if they just didn't use enough glue in that particular one, or there was dust in the hole. A number of things could have happened. I don't know, but it came out, and that's literally the only thing that I've ever had happen.
Would you, because a lot of bowlers actually are afraid to use it because they hear so many things, it breaks and whatever. Would you recommend it?
Absolutely, 100%. I've been using interchangeables for about 10 years now. And over that amount of time, and I mean, I do squeeze the ball quite a bit too. I think I've broken one thumb in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, I bowl a lot and I'm changing these things in and out. I mean, the only thing that happens with the turbos is, you know, over time, in and out, they do wear out over time. And they sometimes will get caught on the belt or something and it twists it because it's so worn out, and then it'll, you know, maybe fly out under the lane. That's the only thing that I've ever had happen. But it doesn't break, it just comes out.
Too easy.
It's equally as bad because you lose it, but that's why I always tell everybody, you know, always have at least 2 thumbs. No matter what system you're using, always have 2, because any weird thing can happen at any time that maybe isn't because a product, it might not have been a product flaw. It just, the pin hit the thumb in a certain way and it just breaks it. You know, stupid stuff happens.
I had a part of the pin inside the outer. So on the outer edge of the outer, a part of the pin. So I can't get out the inner, I can't move anything. So you're done if you don't have one of the thumb. Yep.
But it's definitely great for people that you know, have a lot of bowling balls. You know, you can get that thumb that feels right, and then you have that same feel on all the bowling balls, and it's super important for us because we're drilling so many bowling balls all the time to have that feel that we can just go from ball to ball to ball, and it's the same. It's really, really important for us.
That's what we tell our customers. When you have like 4 to 6 balls a year minimum, then you should use the interchangeable. If you don't, then just leave it.
Yeah. If you're just a casual league bowler and you get 1 ball a year, you know, that's up to you. If you want to have it, you can, obviously, but I wouldn't say that you have to. But if you're, you know, you're bowling multiple leagues and you're bowling tournaments and you're drilling, you know, 3-4 balls a year, then I would highly suggest getting an interchangeable thumb. Obviously, I'm gonna go with telling people to get turbo, but any system is going to benefit you because of having the same feel from ball to ball.
Yeah, I think the big 2 or 3 companies are really, how to say, it's good worked out, the whole system. They all have benefits. And
I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, Turbo did a little bit of a redesign, and they made the tabs on the bottom a little bit thicker. And since then, I haven't heard nearly as many stories about stuff breaking. I think they really they put a lot of time and effort into R&D and really made the product exactly how it should be.
So this brings us to one of the last questions. Mafe asked if do you have kids?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
We plan to, just we're planning on be a couple years from now.
Yeah. So, and that's I think that's pretty much it. I want to say thank you, EJ, and I give you some words that you want to say to the people if you want to. And here we go. Let's do.
I know that I'm very much looking forward to, you know, just getting back on the lanes and bowling, you know, through these times that we've gone through over the last couple of months. I think it's really shown like how close knit and how good our bowling community really is, and I'm very thankful for everyone, and like I said, just how much of a community that we actually are, and I'm really looking forward to getting back on tour and bowling and seeing all the fans. So if you're watching, you know, the next time that we're out on tour somewhere, just come say hi, and I'll be glad to, you know, sign autographs, take pictures, and talk to you for a minute. I'm just really missing all of that I'm so used to having, and hopefully everyone has stayed safe and is staying safe through all these times. And like I said, I just hope to see everybody back out on the lanes, hopefully very soon.
Okay. So EJ, thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate that you join us here. And I want to say thank you to viewers to watch our thing, what we did. If you like it, leave a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel, just do it. And hopefully we see us in live anytime soon. I owe you a beer or two. And but I owe you a Dr. Pepper for sure.
Oh, absolutely. If you put a little bit of Jim Beam with that Dr. Pepper, I'm definitely in. A little bit of
okay,
whiskey.
we will do that. I will come to you, and when we meet, I will do that. So, awesome. Bowlers, thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.